Okay, what's your name, please?
My name is Francis Emman. My name Francis came from, you know, from the name Francisco, exactly from some person in history named Francisco. They took it there. My name Emman came from Emmanuel from the Bible, and eventually became Emman. Then Nathaniel became from my grandfather.
Okay, and where are you from?
I am from Malamulok, South Cotabato in Mindanao. Uh, I live in Lantana subdivision near in Canary, Canary side, Malabo, South Cotabato. Uh, Here in Pulamulok, there are some places that that are good, just like Kalsangi and other places from Landan and other things.
Okay, and what do you do?
Uh, I do I do is that I do in my times that I play games, I exercise, and most of all, I work here. I work here at home, just helping with my grandmother and taking care of my older brother.
All right, let's move on to part one of our speaking test. First, let's talk about favorite book. What is your favorite book of all time?
Ah, to be exact, that sir. My favorite book is Captain Underpants. I like this book because it is a story about two boys uh, bullying their principal and eventually turning them into a superhero. And that superhero is called Captain Underpants. And eventually, that Captain Underpants saves the world and sometimes became their strict principal, serving those boys.
Okay, what is the first book you remember reading?
Uh, my first book that I read is that it is a children's book called B2B. That book, I really like that book because it was the first book that my mother gave to me. And every time we used to read it together.
Okay, what book do you usually read now?
I usually read The Diary of a Wimpy Kid because it focuses on the life of a teenager, just like me. So his stories are somehow connected to mine, and whenever I read that book, it feels like I'm in that itself. So that's why I, I read The Diary of the Wimpy Kid.
Okay, have you read a book more than once?
Actually, no, because once I read that book, I will not go back to it because I rather explore other books because whenever I explore other books, there are more imagination to do at the same time. The more you read other books, you can learn new things about that book at the same time. mm, It is not boring because of the different plot twists
Mhm.
and different stories.
Okay, so how do you choose what books you want to read?
I choose I choose the books I want to read. It's depending on myself. Whenever I want to read comics or fantasies, I choose in a way that I just pick randomly on the shelves that that favors my eye. at the same time, picking those books feels like to me, I really like it, even though I haven't read it.
Okay. Let's talk about spending time by yourself. Do you usually spend time by yourself?
Yes, because I just because spending time with myself feels like I'm at peace at myself. At the same time, I can know things that I want. I can explore new things without relying on other people. At the same time, I can be me. Being with yourself or spending time with yourself great, gives great gives great positivity to yourself because you can become who you want to be in life.
Okay. What did you do the last time you were alone?
Uh, the last time the last time when I was alone is that I walked I walked I walked through a forest alone because I walked through that forest because it feels like whenever I walk through that forest, it feels like I'm at peace in life because it's only me and the nature around to to explore.
Okay. Do you like to spend time with your friends or just stay at home on your own?
I rather stay at home because I'm not good at socializing. At the same time, other people drains me because when I'm with people, it feels like I'm that clown in the middle because whenever when I'm with them, it's like, it's only them and not me. That's why I rather stay at home and be with myself because I can explore my things and
Okay.
my
All right. Let's talk about television and radio. What kind of entertainment do you prefer? TV or radio?
uh I rather take television because the radio sometimes bores me because in that radio sometimes it's just it's just news and other things that I don't like. While if I use the television, there are more channels. Like there are cartoons, there are things to explore. At the same time, when I use television, it feels like there's a wide variety of channels I get to choose from.
Okay. How are radio programs and television programs different?
Uh radio pro radio programs are just, you know, the difference between radio and television programs is that radio is when you use the radio is that you cannot see, you can only hear. While when you're using television, you can see it. You can see it visually and hear it. That's why tele that's why there's a difference between the two.
Okay. Okay. Do you prefer TV news or news on the radio?
I rather choose TV, news on the TV because you can see what is happening on the TV rather than the radio itself.
Okay. So, what are the some of the disadvantages of television?
Uh, the disadvantages of the television is that sometimes when you watch some of the channels in the television is that they're they're somehow cut out or blurry because there's no kind of signal or some sort. That's the disadvantages of a television. At the same time, it is not hand carried or can be used some any other place, just like the radio.
Okay. Let's move on to part two of our speaking test. I'll share my screen. I'll give you 1 minute to prepare. After 1 minute, I will not be sharing the screen anymore. And then you would need to talk about the topic for 2 minutes, okay?
Mm.
All right, this will be your topic.
It's from batteries.
There you go. Your 1 minute starts now. Okay, your 1 minute's up.
Okay.
So I won't be sharing the screen anymore. Remember, you have 2 minutes to talk and you can start.
Uh, I'd like to talk about a bad experience about service. I have service a loc in a local restaurant that I visited weeks from now. It near the happened near a rest, it happened near a police station near the restaurant that I went for a dinner with a friend. Uh, at first, everything seemed fine. I checked the signal. It was great, just 4 bars, but hmm, however, the problem is you know, when we ordered the food there, we had to, we had to, mm, we had to wait for, 40 minutes or so, even though the even though the restaurant isn't busy or what. And what made it worse from that 40 minutes we waited is that the staff didn't tell us or so. So we approached them. We still approached them after that. And after we approached them, they said 15 more minutes. And after we waited 15 more minutes for service, uh they still haven't served our food. And after the food was served, the food was kind of raw, and it feels like when we took a bite of food, it feels like it was didn't it was not cooked. It was not cooked enough. And after and after that we requested for a waiter because we want our food to be but again we want our food to be cooked. The waiter said you can buy a new one. So we buy a new one and then wait another 40 minutes or so, and there, still same. The food is still raw. And in the end, we just left and just left the restaurant completely. And honestly, we felt, we felt disappointed because the food there was the food the poster outside said it was good, but when we tasted it, it wasn't good.
All right. Okay, it's good. Part three of the speaking test. How do most people respond to bad services?
Uh, Most of the people tend to do it in the internet because when they do it in face to face, it feels like feels it feels scary. At the same time, it's only you. While if you do it online, you can fully express yourself without them knowing you are that person.
Mm, okay. Do you think services are better now than in the past?
Uh, Now that I think of it, in my opinion, I think the service, I think the service in the past are good because today I don't think they cook it nicely because in the past when we talk about service, they tend to take it seriously. While in today's generation, the people who work there aren't the same anymore. At the same time, they change. They change it, and they,
Okay. What would you do as a boss to prevent inadequate services?
if I were a boss, and if I were the boss of of a restaurant or some sort, I would I would reevaluate every every person who works in every you know in every place that they work, just like the kitchen, the person who washes dishes, and and the person who works in the cashier. I would reevaluate them in a way that every time there's a bad review about us, I would talk it to everybody, and and I would you know I would what do you call it? Uh, I would
Mhm.
mm, uh, I would motivate them to do better because
Mhm.
uh because the restaurant is in their hands.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's the end of our speaking test. So we'll discuss this one tomorrow.